Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shintaro Higashi Show with Peter Yu. We have a very special guest, Jimmy Pedro. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Shintaro. I'm glad to be back.
Yep, this is part of a four-part series with Fuji. We're sponsored by Fuji for these episodes, and today we're going to talk about Jimmy Pedro's top three most beautiful judokas.
You're trying to get me in trouble with the wife.
No, I'm kidding. We're going to talk about the economics of judo. Exciting stuff.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, when you're watching football, baseball, there's these massive sponsorships, endorsements, getting paid to do the sport. We don't have the equivalent of that in judo. But how can some of these young athletes stay in it? Or is there an avenue for some of these judokas to make money in the sport?
It's a very interesting question. I mean, the economics of judo comes down to the number of participants in the sport per country, right? So if you look at the United States, we have about 15,000 to 20,000 people doing judo. The USA Judo currently has about 12 to 13,000 paying members. Each member pays $100 each. So you're looking at 115,000 or $150,000 in revenue as what they make in an annual basis. I was just in Paris, France, for the European Jiu-Jitsu Championships, and they have 500,000 members, paying members in their organization. And you multiply that number times 40 euro, I think the membership fee is in France. They have an operating budget of $20 million per year, and that's just from memberships.
Yeah.
So the economics in France is night and day compared to what it is in the United States, right?
We're talking about judo, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
judo. I think they said 550,000 members. In the United States, we have 15,000 members.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's significantly different. And when I went to the offices in France for the Judo Federation, I was in their media room, right? And they had a full-time 8 people were sitting at computers, big screen TVs, computers, and all of them were on Facebook, Instagram, etc., actively posting and marketing the sport to the world or to the French people. You know what I mean?
Wow.
A marketing department of 8 in the United States judo. We have like 5 people that get paid to do judo full time, and that's across all areas of the sport. So you're talking about significant night and day in terms of economics between those two countries.
Wow. So obviously that's going to leak over to the athletes and things like this, right?
100%. So you've got Teddy Reiner, who's got over $1 million deal with his sponsors and stuff like that. I mean, he's probably making probably $3-4 million a year in endorsements and competition fees and everything else.
Yeah.
Where that's bigger than our entire operating budget in this country, for every single athlete that we have in the United States.
Man, what a nice thing to have, like a full-blown sponsorship, paid salary situation, like you're getting from the New York Knicks or the Giants, or if you're in your neck of the woods, the Patriots and such, right?
Well, what's crazy, Shintaro. So I did the economics one time on let's say Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
Tom Brady left and he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And I followed Brady from the Patriots to the Bucs, and I actually bought season tickets to the Buccaneers when he went there.
Wow.
But let's say they pay him $20 million a year, right, as his salary. I thought, how the heck are they ever going to make that money back? But when I went to the game, and I saw, like, in the stands, if you think about it, say there's 50,000 people in the stands. If one out of every 4 people has his jersey on, which was the case, right? Well, that's like 15,000 people have a Tom Brady shirt on.
Yeah, wow.
Well, each one of those shirts costs like $150 to $200. So you think about the economics, they're making like $2 million just off of his shirt jerseys, and that's only the people that are in the stands for that game. What about the people that come to other games that buy his stuff? Or the ticket prices go for season tickets. They used to be $50 a ticket. Now they're $150 a ticket. So when you do all the math and you add up all the value plus the TV rights that Tampa Bay now gets from the NFL because they're on prime time or whatever, the economics make sense. Otherwise, they wouldn't spend that money.
Yeah, it's amazing how judo has that kind of a little bit smaller scale than the NFL, obviously, but if judo has that in the France, and I'm sure there's other countries that kind of have that too, right? I mean, Japan's a good example. I don't know about Russia or Brazil or anything like that, but I mean, can you speak on some of those other countries?
Yeah, so when Ezio Gamba, he was the Italian head coach of the Italian team for a long time. He's Olympic champion from Italy. He went and took over the program in Russia. back in I think it was 2009 or 2012. He was the head coach of the Olympic team, and back in that time, he became the president of the federation or the technical director of Russia, and took over the whole sport. And when he took over the sport, he was asked, what would it take to have a full-blown program? What's the cost to send a Russian team to every single event on the circuit and pay all the athletes to be a full-time athletes? And his operating budget per year was $20 million, is what he came up with as a number. And that's to pay all his national coaching staff, his senior national staff, his junior national staff, his cadet staff, paying every single athlete to do judo full-time, where they dedicate 100% of their time to training in the morning, training in the evening, going to all the competitions, training camps, and having training partners, plus all their travel and expenses throughout the world. It came to a $20 million budget, but he got that number. And as a result of that, they had 3 Olympic champions in 2012, 3 gold medalists, on the men's side came from Russia, but they invested in the sport.
And where did they get that money from? Gazprom or one of the government?
Yeah, you're talking about from the government of Russia, plus all their sponsors, oil companies and beneficiaries, and really at that time it came from the government.
Yeah, I mean, Gazprom is the Exxon Mobil equivalent of Russia, and I remember Gazprom on the back patches of all these Russian guys, and I was wondering, wow, that's a pretty big company for it to be on a gi, And
well, if you think about those, I call them Eastern European, former Soviet countries, like they love winning medals and proving themselves in combat-related sports. That's why boxing, MMA, fighting, grappling, jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, they want to win in the macho sports, in the strength sports. They don't want to win in ballet and table tennis and things like that. They're manly men, is what they what I mean. So they pride themselves on being the toughest and most rugged, and so they invest in those types of sports, and that's where their money goes.
Okay, so how can U.S. Judo get there? It's a question that's been asked many times over, and there is a place for grappling in the United States because Jiu-Jitsu's kind of doing it, right? Do you have comparable numbers for BJJ versus Judo in terms of population? I always assume it's like a 5 to 10x multiplier for Jiu-Jitsu here in the States. Can you weigh in on that? Is it more?
I'd say it's over 100 times multiplier at this point.
Wow.
If you think about the number of people that practice Jiu-Jitsu in this country right now, I don't know the absolute statistics on it, but it is well into the millions. Well into the millions. It is no longer just 500,000. You think about France as a country has 550,000 people doing judo.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put France into the state of Texas. I mean, we've got 50 times the population that they do.
Yeah.
And if you think about jiu-jitsu today and how every single person knows somebody that does BJJ at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on every street corner. It's in every town. It's you don't have to drive more than 5 miles to get to a jiu-jitsu academy in this country anywhere.
Very true.
I mean, you're talking about millions of people now practicing the sport.
Well, so you think there's active more than 1 million competitors in the United States in BJJ?
I don't think competitors, but I think there's millions of people practicing the sport of jiu-jitsu today, yes.
Wow, that's incredible. So how can we get there with judo? Can we ever get there? It's too hard of a sport. What do you think?
We'll never get there in the sport of judo in this country. That's never. The UFC and mixed martial arts really gave a lot of credibility to the sport of jiu-jitsu. If you think about every event that you watch, they always mention what rank they are in jiu-jitsu, who's their instructor at jiu-jitsu. Yeah. All the submissions they talk about their jiu-jitsu game. I mean, you can't beat that marketing, and judo could never get that type of publicity, from the commentators, etc. I mean, Ronda did it when she was in MMA, right? She brought a lot of attention to the spotlight, a lot of attention to judo during that time. Yeah. Kayla just signed with the UFC last week. She's going to be fighting in UFC 300.
Home, right?
She's a judoka, so some attention will be on judo when Kayla gets there. The problem is, even if people wanted to go do judo, there's not enough clubs, and it's not accessible enough for people to even sign up.
Yeah, very true.
If people aren't going to drive an hour to 2 hours for their kid to start judo, right? I mean, you got to make it convenient for people. So until we have enough professional coaches and enough clubs for people to go to, we'll never grow.
Okay, so hypothetical here. Someone cuts you $10 million check for growing the sport of judo in the United States. What are you going to use that for?
the development of coaches in this country, and also helping it put the sport into more high school programs, like having it get into the school systems. I just recently started a program called Judo Today. Judo Today is an organization that I started with a gentleman out of Florida and Israel Hernandez, one of the former Cuban Olympic team members and two-time medalist in the sport of judo at the Olympics. We started something called Judo Today. And in Florida, we've got approval from the Archdiocese to actually have judo in all of the Catholic schools as an accredited PE credit. So what we're looking to do over the course of the next 3 to 5 years is we're going to have ideally 60 new schools, all having full-time judo programs inside the academy. Inside their private schools.
Yeah.
And every kid in the school could take judo as a PE class at that school, and they're going to hire a judo instructor full-time as a teacher. So they'll get paid a teacher's salary anywhere from $45,000 to $70,000 a year to be a judo teacher at that school. And then when they're not teaching judo, they'd be a substitute teacher in another classroom.
Yes, wow, that's great.
So it's an accredited program. We already have 2 of them that are going to start this year. And next year we're looking to start a couple more. And if all goes well, they have 60 schools in the state of Florida where we'll have high school programs competing against each other and as an official PE credit.
Can you staff 60 judo coaches that are good enough to grow each and every one of these schools independently?
We need more credit. You asked me how do I invest. We have to invest in the development of coaches in this country.
Okay.
We need to train trainers and teach coaches how to teach judo properly in schools, right, as professionals. And once we do that, then we can give them jobs.
Yes.
And when they have jobs, then they can do judo full time. So think about this, just like your local wrestling coach, right?
Yeah.
Your local wrestling coach, what does he do all day? He teaches school. After school, he's the wrestling coach at the high school. These guys are going to go into the high schools and teach judo 3 or 4 times a day as a PE class. After school, they can have their varsity program afterwards. For all of the interested kids that want to take judo seriously, they can have a 5-day-a-week program after school, and they'll get paid additional money to be the judo coach of that team.
Yeah, man, so that takes a lot of money and manpower, right?
But right now, you're right. We don't have the judo instructors in this country, the coaches, that could actually go do it.
Yeah. You know what happened in New York? I signed up 5 private schools in my region on the Upper West Side to have a judo program like this, right? And we would send instructors to go in and teach judo and et cetera, et cetera. And then after a couple semesters, man, I ran out of black belts to go and teach these things, because everyone has jobs. And then little by little, one by one, we kind of had to close shop because we just couldn't sustain. We just didn't have enough black belts to teach it. A lot of guys have regular jobs, and asking them to go to a school from 3 to 5 p.m. We just couldn't do it. And so now it was like the start of something amazing, but then it kind of just fizzled out and died. Very sad.
It has to be your profession, right? It has to be when it's your profession. Now you're getting up, waking up, you're going and doing your job. What's your job? It's to teach judo in the school system. That's your job. After school, if you want to coach, you can be a coach. If you don't, you go home to your family, you wake up and you teach judo again. So when it's your professional job, how you earn your living, you dedicate 100% of your effort to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you'll be successful. And that's what we need in this country. You asked about jiu-jitsu. Well, every single school owner who opens up their dojo to run a jiu-jitsu academy does it as a business.
Yes.
Their goal, sure, it's to help people, it's to be around the sport, but it's to do what they love as a job, as a profession. So they're opening a school so they can teach jiu-jitsu every day and have a great club and produce great people and teach people. And maybe they have a competition team, maybe they don't. But at the end of the day, 100% of their effort goes into growing their academy and in growing their sphere of influence and putting more people in the sport, right? And it's not an afterthought. And until we get professional judo people to run their dojos like businesses, and they're all in. If I don't make it, I'm starving. Well, when you're going to put food on your table, you're going to charge real money. You're going to, run professional classes. You're going to have different classes for different levels of people. So everybody in the dojo is comfortable. And you're not running like a one-size-fits-all rec program. And when you do it that way, people appreciate it. They have a better experience. They learn more. They're excited to be there. Their coach is excited to be there. And you can run a nice dojo and make a business of it. And there are certain people in this country right now you look at Colton Brown, you look at Nikki Yaneska.
Yeah.
My Dojo's professional. Jason Morris runs it as a full-time program. There's a lot of schools that are now doing it as a profession, and those ones that are doing it, they have hundreds of students.
Yeah.
They don't just have 50; they have hundreds. We have over 300 paying members at my academy right now, doing judo full-time and just doing judo. So it can be done. I have like 5 staff members that make a living from helping me run my academy.
So how do we get the average dojo that's listening in right now? How do we get those guys there?
They've got to open their mind, and they've got to change their mentality about, you can't make money from judo. You're taking advantage of the system. I mean, our sport is dying. So if you're not
in the United States, in the United States,
it's dying. Yeah. It's dying. So we've got to resurrect it. And I feel like right now, Shintaro, we've got some energy into judo. There are some people that are out there marketing themselves. I look at like Justin Flores is marketing himself pretty heavily.
What about me? I'm doing it too, no? Look, me.
I was just going to, you were going to be second. Shintaro's running podcasts. You're running your dojo. You're doing private lessons. Like, you're making your business around judo. Yeah. Travis Stevens does Judo Fanatics. He teaches judo at my academy. He's involved with Fuji as our marketing guy. He's 100% into martial arts. Colton Brown is coaching the national team, is running his dojo. Aaron Cohen's doing judo full time. Jason Morris doing judo full time. There's a lot of people that are dedicating their lives to the sport, but their businesses are successful because they're all in with judo or martial arts. They're not doing another job and then trying to squeeze it in when they have time.
Okay, so the best bang for these guys' dollar, right? Let's just say they're a nurse by day or a school teacher by day, and then they have their dojo that they're running at night. How do they make that transition?
Number one, it starts by I used to do this. When I started my dojo, I was working full-time at monster.com. And at 5 o'clock, I would go to my dojo.
Were you a recruiter there?
What's that?
Were you a recruiter?
No, I worked in the marketing department. I was the manager of their Olympic sponsorships. Monster.com was a sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah.
And
you'd be a good recruiter, too.
Well, I helped recruit Olympic athletes to get jobs after they were done with their Olympic career. So at that time, I went and I started focusing a lot on my dojo because I was a retired athlete. I wanted to make a living from judo, but I had to put food, on the table, and I had to pay my bills. So I worked as a marketing manager at that company. After that job, I went to my dojo full time. And what I realized was I could never get past 60 students or 80 students at my academy, and I couldn't figure out why. So I hired a consultant from the martial arts world. I said, I paid the guy $1,000 a month to help me to consult with me and help me figure out why I can't grow my academy. And he said, number one, your classes are too hard. This is too intimidating for the general public to come in your academy and train for an hour and a half. I want you to make your classes shorter. Number one. Number two, make them less difficult. Teach students, don't train students. They're there to learn. They're not there to get beat up, and they're not there to have hard training. You have to understand these people come from jobs, or these kids are coming off the couch. They're not used to doing things that physical for that long.
Yes.
So make it easier and make it make it about learning and getting better. The other thing is you need to structure your classes so that the beginners are with the beginners, the intermediate are with the intermediate kids, and the advanced people have a path for them as well. So you have to have judo for everybody. And so when I changed the structure of my school and I had beginners, intermediate, advanced classes, I said, well, what if I only have 2 students there to teach? He said, eventually, if you have the time slots, they will come. So I opened up all the time slots. I put in different programs. I wrote the curriculum for my school. He helped me from a marketing standpoint of how do we recruit people and get them in the door, professional marketing campaigns, going around town, handing out flyers, being present at events, getting involved in the community, those types of things. People started coming in the door. When they come in the door, they have to have a great experience. You can't just throw them out on the mat and say, oh, go try a class with this brown belt or this black belt.
Yeah.
You have to teach them, what is judo all about? How is it going to help me, or how is it going to help my child? Yes. So we give small introductory lessons. Started doing intro lessons at my academy, making people feel comfortable, and doing 6-month programs, 12-month programs, and running it like a business. As soon as I did that, I went from 60 to 80 students to 150 students.
Nice.
Right away. Just
Yeah.
right away, within the next 6 months, I had 150 students. And then I could hire more people to help me teach the classes. And
Yeah.
it just snowballed into what I have today, which is over 300 paying members. Like I said, 5 or 6 people on the payroll, all making a living from doing judo. 3 of them full-time,
Yep.
3 of them part-time, but I have a professional
Yeah.
academy.
And what about randori? How soon do they do randori?
To be honest
Adults.
with you, the recreational athlete shouldn't do standing randori until like 2 years of training.
Ooh, I love that, Jimmy. I love it. That's coming from you, who's like one of the toughest judo guys, right? You were hard nosed, like training Olympian, and I love it that it's coming from you. Tell me more about that.
The reason for that, in my opinion, Shintaro, is that people's bodies aren't ready for randori. They don't have the toughness and the hardness in their muscles. They haven't learned the movements of judo properly. So their bodies aren't ready to take those hard falls. But if you think about it, when you come in the door, you'll learn how to do your ukemi. You'll learn how to do your uchikomis. You'll learn how to do the skills of judo, right? After you like understand the movements and you drill combinations and you're starting to pick people up and your muscles in your body are getting stronger physically, and you have an awareness of where you're going to go when you fall and how people are going to throw you, and then it takes that long to learn how to expect what's going to happen to you.
Nice.
And it's not until you actually have that level of experience should you ever be doing randori, because you can't control your own body and you don't have the strength or the physicality to hold yourself up, let alone hold your partner up safely.
Great point.
So wait, and I honestly don't think you should push anybody into standing randori if they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so the guy that runs a dojo in the middle of nowhere, first day, puts on a white belt, and then throws the guy out for randori. What do you tell that guy? Don't do it?
That's just a mistake waiting to happen. That's an injury waiting to happen. Automatically.
100%. Yeah, automatically.
They don't know how to fall properly. Whoever they're working out with might not know how to throw properly. And they're going 100%. The intensity, the adrenaline is there. They're going at 100%, and they're stiff as a board.
Yeah.
And when you're stiff in judo, that's when you get hurt. Judo's got to be fluid. If you watch the Japanese when they train, they throw each other so clean.
Yeah.
And the guy takes such a nice break fall, he gets up without any problem at all.
Yeah.
But in judo, as beginners, they crash into the mat. They're not rolling, so the impact and the risk of injury is super high.
Yeah, it really is. Wow, that's 2 years. That's amazing. I love that.
I'm not against having like situational newaza randori. Like they could be doing, newaza randoris after 6 months or 12 months to keep them entertained, because that's safe on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Hold down contests, turnover contests, like put them in situations where they got to finish the move. They can do that stuff, but standing randori, it should be 2 years. If they have no wrestling or grappling experience and they're doing judo for the first time, should be 2 years before they do randori.
I love that. 2 years before randori. And every single one of your students at your dojo, USA Judo members as well?
Yep.
That's
well,
awesome.
no. Not every single member of my school is a USA Judo member, no. No.
Do you require that later down the line?
If they're going to compete, they have to be, yes.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, so like, let's just say guy coming in, he's like loving judo. He's a teenager, starting to compete. This kid wants to do judo for a living. He loves it. He's not only telling you that he wants to be a champ, but he's showing up every single day, right? There are some personal finance obstructions or obstacles that can come up, right? So like with BJJ, you develop an Instagram account, you develop a following, and then eventually you start selling online instructionals. That same path doesn't exist for judo, correct?
Very, very hard to do it in judo, yes.
Yeah, so how do you guide some of these teenagers who want to do this more full-time that don't come from a very affluent background where their parents could just pay for everything? What would you suggest for those guys?
The path to excellence in judo it's a hard road, but you don't necessarily have to go outside this country to develop your judo. You need to go to a lot of local competitions. I feel like most people, once they like get good nationally, they stop competing in this country altogether, and they say, I'm too good to compete in the United States. I'm only going overseas.
Yes.
But if you look back at the champions, the real champions in the sport of judo, you look back at Mike Swain, you look back at Jason Morris, or me, Rhonda, Kayla, whoever, they always competed domestically, because when you compete often, you get very good at competing. Like competition is a different level of intensity, even if it's at a local level. You have the same anxiety. You've got you're sharp on the rules. Your transition game is on point, and you can actually develop and be, you're better than the competition. So you can work on new throws. You can develop your judo, and you have to do that real time. You can't do that in the dojo. It has to be in a real live setting where the other person is fighting you tooth and nail to stop you from doing what you're trying to do. So I think 50 to 100 matches a year domestically. That should be the priority. To develop a young athlete, if they're not competing like 50 to 100 matches a year inside this country, then they're not really developing.
And I guess it doesn't cost that much to do. I mean, it does, but it's not the same as doing 10 competitions internationally, right? Because that's just a whole other bag of stuff.
You're talking every trip internationally is a minimum of $2,000 to $3,000, right?
Minimum.
But in this country, you can drive 5-6 hours. You can get to a lot of really good high-level competitions. And as you know, in the New York, New Jersey area now, we have a lot of former Russians. We got a lot of foreign people that fight at the local tournaments. Yeah. Some of those local tournaments, those are harder than our national championships.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we have a Georgian guy here, a guy from Colombia, just locally, a guy from Russia over there. It's crazy. It's crazy. You see this, like, how is this a local tournament? That's what we were talking about, the Division I and Division II, because then there leaves no space for the average black belt, mom and pop guy to go out there and compete at a real local level, right?
Yeah, so I think, that young teenage kid that you talked about, he can get a ton of great experience by New York, New Jersey, up in my tournament, Pedro's Challenge. There's plenty of good local tournaments for them to go to and, fight the cadet age group or the junior age group and then also fight the senior age group. They can get 10 matches in a weekend.
Yeah.
Fight 10, it's like 10 good contests. Yeah. You do that every single month. You've got your 100 matches in a year. Yeah. Now we're starting to get match time. So time on task or time, fighting, that is valuable mat time for development and learning.
Okay. So let's say that's going to be significantly cost effective as opposed to going to an international tournament, going 0-1, for 9 events in a row, right? And burning through $40,000. So we're already doing 50 to 100 matches domestically. How does a young teenager fund that if they're not coming from, right?
So they've got to get, when they travel, if they're going to start traveling outside this country, they've got to start going to training camps. A training camp is far better than going to a tournament and going 0-1 or even going 2-1. Yeah. Because when you go to a training camp internationally, and they can do that pretty affordably. They have, in Europe, they have, I've been to camps, and sometimes they're just cadet age or junior age camps. They'll have 600 judoka on the mat for a 15 to 18-year-old camp. There'll be 600 bodies on the mat. And they'll train 2 or 3 times a day during that camp. So you're talking about like 20 randoris with some of the best kids in all of Europe. And you can go there probably for like $50 a day. Yeah. That's food and your housing and everything included. For €50 a day, you can go to a nice training camp, get 20 randoris, 4 hours of judo a day, and do that for 10 days straight. And so for $500, plus your airfare over there, you're getting some valuable judo experience, and that's how you get better. It's a training camp.
Yes. So how do we get that money, though? How can we get that's the kid? How do we get the money for the kid? Because you used to do Team Force. That was an amazing thing. You had a U23 program. All these different programs that kind of fed into this thing, right? I don't know how many programs are out there now. I've been out of the loop with that. But are there still opportunities like that in the United States for judo?
I've gone out and I've raised my own money. I have three different sponsors that contribute to our program, Project Gold program, and they've donated the money to help us develop camps, clinics, and identify talent and help these kids get to tournaments and competitions. So, we do help fund some of the top kids in this country with that money. And we also help organize a lot of camps and clinics around the country to get our stars in front of the next generation, to inspire the youth to go on and do these things. So I've created a fund to help these people do that. We also have a nonprofit booster club, the Team Force Booster Club I have at my school, where I get all the parents involved with helping raise some money by putting on. They work all of my tournaments. They do the concession stands. They sell product. They do raffles. We have golf tournaments, things like that to raise money so that the kids from our dojo and teenagers that make the teams, we cover 50% or 75% of their travel when they go compete internationally or they go to the national level tournaments. So I've done it on my own through my own school. Yes. So, There's another avenue that just opened up, Shintaro, in judo, and that's the National Training Center. They just opened one in North Carolina. So
with Chris Round, that's the National Training Center now?
no, so in North Carolina. They just opened a U.S. Judo National Training Center in Colorado. I'm sorry, in North Carolina.
Okay. I saw a camp. I didn't know
They
if
hired
it
a
was legit or
full-time
not.
coach. They hired a full-time coach from Sweden.
Wow. Oh, shoot. Okay.
His job is to recruit kids, talented kids in this country, put them in that training center, and he has a budget to help those kids stay there full-time and also to help them travel to events.
Is it a big budget?
It actually is. I think the budget for USA Judo, it includes his salary, the housing stipend, all that stuff, but it's around $300,000 a year.
Man, that's reasonable.
Which is why they're able to run training camps and things like that.
I legitimately thought you were going to say like $20,000. How are they going to do that? Wow, that's good. That's something.
It's a start.
Who set that up?
It's through the U.S. Olympic Committee. So the United States Olympic Committee put a whole training center at like the University of North Carolina, and it's a lot of sports. So Taekwondo already has a full program there now. Judo's starting a program there. A lot of the it's just like the one they used to have in Colorado. Well, they still have in Colorado.
Yeah.
But it's just another training center on the East Coast.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
So kids that go there can get in-state tuition.
Yeah.
They can get their college education. So these young teenagers that you're talking about, they now have a path to do judo and get some help with their travel fund.
So what I'm hearing mostly is like the person who owns a dojo, who's running the club, is sort of semi-responsible for raising the funds for these teenagers and such to stay in the sport. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's got to be done by the local community because that local, every local dojo has a couple of kids that are going to come out of that dojo. Yeah. And the only way to get them to the next level is they need money. Yeah. So you're never going to get sponsors for people, right? It's a judo doesn't have the exposure for a sponsor to give money. It's more of a donation. Do you want to help this kid? Yes or no? If so, here. What can we give you in return? We're going to give you our time. When we come back from our trips, we're going to spend time, share our stories, and bring you to the dojo for recognition and thank you. But at the end of the day, there's not a lot of we can do to give back other than show appreciation for what you've done to help us.
Should judo be free for drop-in guests?
Again, my feeling and my thought is always that free means no value.
Yeah, I agree. People come to my dojo and they're like, "Hey, I'm here to work out, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a black belt from X, Y, and Z," and I'm like, "Okay, great. It's $40 for drop-in." People are like, "What? Like judo, you shouldn't pay. It should not be free. I'm a black belt, whatever." I'm like, "I don't care. Like, you're out here spending $50 on Uber to get here, coffee. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you should support judo." It's kind of like my thing, and
we do the same. We do a $25 per class workout fee.
Yeah.
You're training for an hour and a half. You're learning from the best Shintaro. You're a 6th-degree black belt. You've been in judo for how many years? You've got a lot of experience. You spent a ton of money getting the knowledge that you have. Yeah. I'm the same way. You want to come be a part of my dojo, it's $25. My students pay $179 a month to train at my academy. $25 for you to drop in and work out with them. Sure, they're getting a benefit by working out with you, but you're getting a unique experience too. Yeah. And I pay for all these lights, and I paid the $15,000 for these mats, and I'm paying my staff to help. And I'm sure while you're here at my dojo, you're going to take a shower here. You're going to take a water from my, from my machine. You're gonna, I gotta pay somebody to clean the mat when you're all done, bleeding all over it. Like, at the end of the day, it costs me money to have you here.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with you. So do you think, right, I'm not trying to like price fix or anything like that, but there's dojos that compete with each other, and race to the bottom in terms of price when you have judo populated areas like California and Hawaii. And, obviously it's illegal to price fix, right? You can't like get each other to, hey, we're all going to charge this thing. But like there should be some kind of a minimum, right? I mean, for it to be a viable business, don't you think?
It's a hobby if they're not charging real dollars. I look at it as a hobby dojo. Listen, if somebody in my market was like $100 a month and someone came to my dojo and said, hey, the guy down the street charges $100, why do you charge $179? Because I'm giving you a much better judo experience. You're learning for a much better instructor. You're going to walk out of here a more confident, more disciplined, better human being by joining my dojo. And they're priced where they're going to give you value. And I'm going to over deliver.
Nice.
Just have confidence in your program. And I'm not talking about even the technique that you're going to learn. I'm talking about the overall experience that you're going to get from me and my staff is going to be night and day from what you get down the street.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was a part of that, community for a little while too. And I remember you had an athlete house, and I was able to rent a room there for a reasonable cost. I think at the time it was like $800 a room or something, right? And I stayed there for like a year. And to be able to just live there full time and do judo with those guys, Kayla, Travis, all that, that was like an amazing thing. You know what I mean? It would be lovely if there were more communities and dojos like that, nationally, domestically, right? I mean, is there anything like that out in California or Texas or?
San Jose State still has a judo program, so kids that want to go to school and get an education, but they have to find their own apartment off campus and rent an apartment like anybody else going to college.
Yeah.
But they have the opportunity to do judo 5 nights a week at the university and be part of the university program. West Point has a judo program. Texas A&M has a judo program.
True.
There are judo programs that exist if you want to do judo in college. Unfortunately, there's not really, other than in Hawaii, there's really no high school judo in this country that's accredited.
It would be nice if it was more visible, right? Like if there was a clear-cut path. Like if you're doing judo and you're going to competitions, hey, if you want to do judo in college, these are the options, right? Hey, if you want to go to a national training center, you got Colorado, Jimmy Pedro, and you got North Carolina, right? And then it was much more clear, as opposed to like you have to kind of go to the tournaments, do well, and someone has to approach you and sell you on the thing, and it feels a little bit weird, So I wish there was a little bit more visibility with all the different programs available to the younger guys. Is that just a marketing thing that USA Judo should be on taking, or what do you think? Because I know you run American Judo. Is that something that
there needs to be a talent identification program in this country by the NGB, by the organization, and they have to have a clear path of when we identify talent, what do we do with that talent? What's the path for them? And we need to give them options. Like you said, we need to lay out what those options are. And if the organization itself could create the programming, they could go out and raise the money for those programs. So what they lack is they lack revenue, they lack money. But people don't want to just give money just to give money. What is my money going to go towards? Right? I would start a scholarship program for kids. I would identify it as this is the LA 2028 fund. All of this money is going to go into developing our kids for the LA 2028 Olympics.
Yeah.
If you're a believer in education, I want to create a scholarship fund, and I want all the money for kids to go so that they can do judo full time, but they can also get a scholarship of $5,000 a year as part of this fund. And you've got to figure out programs that differentiate those programs. Tell people what it is, what's the cause, what's the money going towards, and then you can raise funds because people want to do things where they're passionate about, or you've got to figure out how to use their money wisely, because at the end of the day, they want to see results.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you doing Project 2024. Is that still a thing that's been going? And they did seminars for their guys, and then they raised money. And is that still a thing that's still going?
The COVID crack, that kind of halted that for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Nobody could host us for camps and clinics and things like that. But yes, we've changed the name to Project Gold. So okay. So Project Gold.
Well, I see. I didn't even know that. And I'm kind of an insider with this stuff, right? I didn't even know that Project Gold and Project 2024. And I was thinking, as you were saying, well, whatever happened to Project 2024? I guess it's just like a new.
2024 is here already.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's.
So we changed we changed the name to Project Gold. So we still hold camps and clinics and seminars after tournaments and things like that. I'm actually hosting Neil Adams is going to come to my dojo this year after the Pedro's Challenge.
Nice.
I've invited Neil to do a camp for Project Gold. So we'll help pay for Neil to get there and help cover his expenses. Everybody that comes to the camp puts more money back into Project Gold so that we can get, hold other camps and clinics with other stars. We have Colton Brown do some. We have Israel Hernandez, Travis, myself. We have we invite some of the other Olympians. Kayla's done some camps for us. Angie Delgado.
I wonder why it's not so visible from where we're standing, because it should be a little bit more visible. I wasn't even aware of this, until you said Project Gold. I was like, what? I never even. It should be more visible, right?
Well, you're not one of the talents that we're trying to identify at this point, which is why you're not the target audience.
That's true, I guess. So if you're like a junior competitor on the national circuit, it's visible. People know about it and they go to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Wow.
So we took some kids last year. We went to Europe. Project Gold took kids from the state of Washington, Chicago,
Yeah.
New York. We took a bunch of kids. We went on the European tour. We went to the Birmingham Junior Grand, whatever it was called, European Open for kids.
Yeah.
Went to the Junior European Open in Birmingham. We went to Slovenia. They went to Hungary after that. They went to 3 events in a row, and they did a camp after every tournament. And I stayed there for a week.
Yeah.
Travis went for a week, and Colton Brown was there with them for a week.
Nice.
So we're trying to get Olympians to give back, to help kids, and keep them motivated. We brought a group of like 20 kids as part of Project Gold.
Is there a minimum, like ability-wise? You have to have one X, Y, and Z to be part of this thing?
Just want to be just dedicated athlete, purple belt or above, who wants to like be serious about judo, who's willing to train twice a day and be part of a program.
Okay, so how does someone join? Let's just say there's a kid that's a brown belt. He's 17. He's great. He does 50 to 100 matches domestically a year. He lives in Tennessee. How does he be a part of this thing?
Just give us a call, shoot us an email, Jimmy Pedro at fujisports.com, info at americanjudo.com, like info at fujisports. It'll get to me. We'll look at the kid's resume. We'll invite them to the next camp that we're going to run, either here in Boston or wherever it's going to be in this country. We'll tell them that we're going to be at the Junior Nationals or the Scholastic Nationals. Come up, introduce yourself, say hello, let us watch you compete. We'll give you feedback on your matches. Feel like you have somebody that's helping you, willing to guide you. And then when we're going to go overseas, and take a team somewhere, we'll invite you to be part of that group that's coming. You'll have to fund your own way, but we'll put you as part of the group. If you come to enough of our camps and clinics, we'll start funding you to go places and do things.
That's the way. That's the way. How about the guy that's a black belt, maybe in his early 20s, not like a super high-level competitor, but that person who wants to branch off, doing private lessons, eventually own their own dojo, start doing seminars and such? How would you advise that person? Because that person, although he may never be an Olympian or produce an Olympian, that person's part of the system that develops the core group of guys that funnel into that system, right? Like the people that are eventually going to go to Project Gold or all the other systems. So how would you guide those guys in terms of like keeping them sustained, keeping them motivated, keeping them really in the game, right, to help judo?
I think that person, whoever that person is, needs to go learn from another coach who's running a dojo successfully.
Yeah.
Right? Because it takes a business mindset to actually open and run a successful dojo, and it can be overwhelming. You're not just going to open the doors and teach. You've got to understand the number one job of a judo instructor when they start their dojo is to bring new people in the door. If you're not bringing new people to your dojo, you're going to die, right?
Yeah.
The students, it's not enough just to be a good instructor. You've got to teach all of your students to become ambassadors of your dojo, to tell other people how great your dojo is and how great the sport of judo is for those people. And you've got to have them all like recruit people to come into your door and to give judo a try.
Yeah.
So that's the number one goal, is to spread the word and bring new people to the club. When we do that, we're going to have a successful community. And then word of mouth will get out, because people say, oh, what are you doing today? Oh, my kid's going to judo. Oh, what does he do there? Oh, it's not just about beating people up. It's not just about learning how to throw. Man, they're making my kid so much better. He's so disciplined. He's focused. He's paying attention. He's doing better in school. He's more athletic. He's learning all these great skills. Like, once we educate people on what judo can do for them, then we're going to have a successful dojo. And I think that black belt instructor you're talking about, they need to learn all of these things and the buzzwords and how to communicate, on how to sell judo to people.
Yeah. How would you sell judo to people?
I just did. We're going to change your life. Judo is going to change your life. It made me who I am today, and I learned everything that I know through the sport. The lessons were learned through the sport of judo. So how to overcome adversity, right? How to have confidence in myself, how to commit to a goal, how to follow through and persevere when I don't succeed, how to train hard, gave me the work ethic that I have, gave me the humility, that I, talk about yourself, let other people talk about you, because they'll make you bigger than you would ever could make yourself. So there's so many things I learned from the sport. That's how I sell judo. And it will help you succeed in anything you want to do in life if you stick and stay with judo long.
I mean, Fuji mats, Fuji gear, all that stuff is judo related, and you run those companies, right?
American Judo System.
Yeah, all of it. Wow, that's really incredible. So let's say if we
Pedro's,
had
Pedro's Judo Center.
Pedro's Judo, of course, and let's
All
say you
those are
had,
separate businesses.
yeah, all of them, right? If you had 100 Jimmy Pedros, right, 2 Jimmy Pedros per state, let that run for 10 years, what would be the state of judo in the United States, you think? You think it'll be a completely different animal?
It would.
How would we do that, you know?
Because it would be like-minded. You know, one of the biggest problems with judo right now is that people are afraid to let their students go to other dojos. They're afraid they're going to lose them. They're afraid they're going to lose them.
Yeah.
And we need the judo. What jiu-jitsu does really well, it's a community. Most people now welcome people from other dojos. They train at other dojos.
Yes.
They visit other dojos. You know, they're very welcoming. They don't shut themselves off and say you can't come. So we've got to spread judo out. We've got to train with one another often, because the relationships we create outside of our dojo help keep us in the sport of judo.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, true.
So like my kids that have stayed in the sport, meaning my teenagers, I believe the reason why they're staying today is because they have friends from Florida, they have friends from Colorado, they have friends from different parts of the country.
That's right.
And they get to go places and do things and see these people. And they're part of that community. And they're somebody in this community, which is why they stay.
That's very true. Interesting.
So 100 dojos run by somebody like me, we would always train together. We would always compete against one another. We would always help one another. Every dojo would be thriving, and you know the staff would be making money. And then what would happen is all of the people underneath those people would see that there's an opportunity to be a professional judo coach someday.
Yeah.
And they would then hopefully go open dojos.
Could you ever franchise with your thing? Be like 50 Jimmy Pedro judo centers across the country? Is that something that can potentially happen, you think?
Why not? Absolutely.
That'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah. We have a second dojo now. We have Fuji Martial Arts, Woburn, Massachusetts, that we open. We have a judo and a jiu-jitsu program over there. It's about 5 miles from my existing club, and it's a proof of concept that we can run a second judo academy. It's run by a separate staff, you know, and we pay $5,000 a month in rent. And
who teaches down there?
Tyler Yonomori. Yonomori teaches classes over there. We have a jiu-jitsu instructor over there.
Okay, nice. Well, that's great. Tyler's a full-timer now, huh?
He is.
I mean, I remember he was there when I was there, just athlete, grinding it. Now he made a living in judo, right? We need more of that. We need a clear path to a career in judo.
So the American Judo system, we did a partnership with USA Judo, right, where every member gets access to our platform. They can learn, see all of our videos online. They have full access to the AmericanJudo.com, right?
I still don't know how to log on to it, Jimmy.
You're kidding.
I swear to God, it's confusing.
So you got to go to USA Judo website. It's you can use your USA Judo login membership, and it's a single sign-on, and you can get right onto the American Judo system platform through USA Judo. Okay. Yeah. But what we're doing we're using the revenue that we're generating from American Judo system to create jobs for people. We've got Steve Cohen doing a coaching. He's in charge of the coaching program at American Judo. So he does live classes every month. He judo coffee and talk.
So I saw that. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so we're paying Steve to communicate with other coaches to help make them more professional, to help them run their dojos, and to be a spokesperson for clubs and how to develop better juniors. Yeah. We've got somebody doing social media for us. We're paying somebody to pump out content and do social media. Yep. We're paying people to come on our platform. You've got to be an Olympian to teach on the American Judo platform, but we're paying Israel Hernandez, we paid Colton Brown, Travis, myself, to put up content and new content for people to learn from. Yeah. So we're paying people to go run American Judo system events, so that the events that are run in this country are run more professionally. So we're giving a good experience to that new person who's going to their first judo tournament. They're getting at least a certain number of matches. They're getting in and out in a timely manner. They're having a good judo experience and a fun, friendly atmosphere. So that's going to help keep people in the sport because they're getting good experiences through the American Judo system. So I'm giving people jobs with the revenue we're generating to grow the sport, with allowing people like Tyler to do it full time, Riley to do it full time. Dylan Gardner is a new kid who helps and does judo full time and does the social media for American Judo. So helping people do judo as a profession is the key to growing
Yeah.
the sport.
It really is. Great stuff, man. Great stuff.
So
Thank you, Jimmy. That was incredible. Where can people find out more about? Should they follow you on Instagram and send you text messages late at night? Or
I'm actually getting better at Instagram, especially
Yeah.
the little messages. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm at Jimmy Pedro USA is my Instagram handle, and then my website's fujimats.com, fujisports.com for the best mats, facility equipment, as well as gear in the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jimmy. That was amazing. Thank you.
My pleasure, brother. Be good.
Yep. Thank you. Will do.